Hello again, YouTube. Today what I got for you is a starting issue on my 89 Camaro iroc Z. Just a little bit of background before I get started in this. The problem that I am having is cold start issues. Not necessarily cold outside, but if I haven't ran it for a while, it does not want to start. And when I finally do get it started, it runs okay. It does jump up in RPM, drop back down, jump up, drop back down. But once I get it started, it fires right up once I actually get it started for the next few hours, unless I let it sit for too long. So, let's see if I can give a little demo here. I haven't really started my car up in a while. And if you could hear that, that was the fuel pump. Sounds like it's working just fine to me. Turn it on, you can hear it go beep. So, you hear the fuel pump. There's a fuel pump again. But you get the idea. I'll do that over and over and over and over until this thing gets started. So, what I think it is either a fuel filter or a fuel pump issue. So what I'm going to do is go to my local O'Reilly's or AutoZone or whatever it is and grab their fuel pressure regulator or pressure pump tester thingy. So yeah, let me grab that. Alright, so this is what I got. That's a little box that has a bunch of other stuff, but this is the pressure regulator all the way down on the bottom. I've got a little elbow just so it fits in mine. It's just the straight piece on the bottom. But if you have the same thing that I have, the place where you plug this in at is right here. So we take this little cap off and put it in a very safe place, because this is definitely needed. So I'm going to pop that in my pocket, and then I'm going to take this end and I'm going to screw it in there, and I'm going to put this under here onto the windshield so I can see it while I'm in the car. Alright, so I got it screwed in exactly where I said it was. I've got the other line right down here. Press the button to purge it. There's no pressure in there right now. So the first thing is you put your keys in, and when you actually put your keys in and you turn it to the on position, not actually starting it, I'll look up here. I can even get the camera on it. There we go. I'll look up there and I'll see what it stays at, because it's supposed to jump up. I think in this vehicle, I think it's 40, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's supposed to go up to 40, and it's supposed to maintain 40. So, let me put the keys in and turn it, see if you can hear the pump. And that's retardedly low. So, let me go ahead and try to start it. So it did go up eventually, but look at this thing drop. It is not holding pressure at all. That's probably the issue that I've been having. And that's dropping very quickly. I don't even have to wait 15 minutes like you should. That's dropping straight down. So, I think I figured out what it is. Because it's dropping so much, I can go through, check the line, make sure there's no leaks in there. If there are leaks, you'll be able to see any kind of fuel. everything looks dry to me, so I definitely don't have any leaks in there. So it looks like it's my fuel pump, which is going to be another fun video, because the fuel pumps in these things, either you have to drop everything in the back or drill a hole in the metal underneath the carpeting in the back to get to the top of the tank to get that out. So that's going to be fun. Stay tuned. Okay, so before I get tearing into the fuel pump, one quick and cheap thing you can do is check the fuel filter, or change the fuel filter, because not a whole lot of people change that out as frequently as it should be. So for the Camaro, it's down here on the driver's side. And got my light down here. If you look under there, there it is. And to get the bracket off, I'll let you guys know, it is a 30 seconds to get the bracket off, and the fitment is going to be the 5/8. And I'm not sure what the bigger fitment is. I'll show you in just a second when I get there, but I've got a crescent wrench for that one because I don't have anything that fits it. So let me get under the car and I'll show you. Alright, there's the bracket right there that needs to be loosened up so we can take this out. And right here is the smaller one that you'll loosen up, that's connected to the larger one, which is not movable. It's one piece, and it's the exact same size on the other side. So just by looking at it, this one right here goes towards the gas tank, and this one, which is going to be your out, goes up towards the front where the engine's at. So let me loosen these up real quick and take it out. Alright, just took it out, and that's what it's going to look like. These are going to move up and down, so when you actually put it in, you can tighten it up and down. Same on both sides. So now that this is out, you can put your new filter in, and remember the out is going to go to this one right up here. And here it is all hooked back up. I got everything tightened up, and now I just need to start the car and see if it leaks. Okay, so this is the old filter, and I haven't started the car or anything, but I noticed, because a new filter, all it is, this thing is, if you think of like a cold air intake or something, that's all it is. It's just a hollow thing with a filter inside that kind of looks like the one under your hood. So gas is supposed to go in, get filtered, and come out. So it should be a pretty easily free-flowing thing. So a good way to check it, obviously clean off the ends, but you can blow air into this and see how well you have flow. I did it on the new one. It's just like breathing through a tube, but when I do it to this one, let's see if you can hear what's going on. This is supposed to go towards the engine, so ideally we blow into this end. So barely any flow going through this thing. I did drip a little bit, sorry, but this thing definitely was clogged. If it doesn't solve my cold start issue, this was definitely an upgrade from what I had before. Okay, so now that I have it all installed, let's see if there's any kind of difference. I haven't had this thing started, so it should still, if it didn't work, still have the cold start issue. I'll give it a little bit of time to get the fuel through there. Leaks under here. It looks nice and clean. So if everything else failed and you're still having the same problem, and you do need to get to the fuel pump, I'm going to show you how to get to the fuel pump from the inside by cutting an access panel, so whenever you need to get back there, all you have to do is pull up the carpet and get to it, rather than dropping all of the rear end, the axle, the exhaust, and then dropping the gas tank to get to the top of the gas tank. It's annoying, and they eventually did fix it in the Camaros and pretty much every other car. You just have to take out the back seat and you can get to it. So what we need to do is get the carpet up so we can access the metal portion in the back here. So I dropped the seat already, and the next step would be to, if you do have one, take out the rear sun visor. To take out the rear sun visor, it's pretty easy. All you have to do, either side, I'm going to show you the left side. All you have to do is push out on this whole plastic unit right here. Just push out. There you go, and it'll pop out. There's a little piece, I can get my light over here. There's a little piece in there with a divot, and that is what the end in here goes into. And the whole thing's spring loaded. Like I said, you can do this to either side, but once you get one side out, the other one will just fall out. So before we get started, there are two of these little anchors here. They're just Phillips heads. These are actually holding the carpet down. So take this one and this one out, and it should be 4 screws total. Then we can go on the inside. Okay, now that I'm inside the car, the 2 levers on both sides that bring the seat down, I'm going to go ahead and bring the seat down. Alright, now that the seat is down, there's a screw right there that you need to take out, just a Phillips head, and a screw right there that you need to take out. Okay, now that those screws are out, those don't actually keep the carpet in place, they just keep these plastic pieces kind of tight, so I take them out to make it loose so you don't have that much of a pain in the ass on your hand. So that's pretty much all you need, and the carpet, you just have to shimmy it up. The carpet will come up, and I'm just going to fold it up towards the outside. And this is what it's going to look like once you pull the carpet back up. There are some glued down points that did rip, but can't really do much about that. When pulling this out, there's just a small lip in here that tucks underneath that. So one side will be relatively easy and the other side's going to be hard. This is somewhat of a newer carpet, so it's kind of stiff. If you have the original carpet in here, it's going to be a lot easier because it's going to be quite flexible and you can just pull it out really easily. But now that we have the carpet laid over here, that's really all we need, because we're going to be drilling in right here in the center. Nice little rectangle right there. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some masking tape down to kind of cut down on the metal shavings. So that's what I'm doing right now. This is what I have taped off right here. I didn't do exact measurements. If you want to do exact measurements so you can make a door or a little flap that goes over it or something that people have done online, then exact measurements would be really helpful. I'm just going to cut this out and make something around the similar size to cover it back up if I do. But it's not super important to me, so right along here, right in front of this little divot, you're going to cut across here, then across the side so you have enough room to actually get in here and take the thing out. And then up here, you don't have to go all the way to the edge, you just have to go about an inch or two. I think 2 inches is what usually people do, but 2 inches from the end. There's no need to go all the way out because the lines will run back through this way. Alright, finally got done cutting into this bad boy. And I'm going to take that plate, set it to the side. And I didn't buy any parts until I opened this up, because I know once you take this out, this is connected to all of these, which is kind of a pain in the butt, because if you want to replace it, this whole thing has to come out as one piece, and the connections all the way down here have to be undone too. So how some people do it is they cut into these and take a chunk out, and they'll put in fuel line on each one of these just to make it easier. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but the first step I needed to do was open this up to see if my lines were corroded in any way, but they look pretty good to me, so I don't think I'm going to cut into them since they're still good. If you don't want to cut these out and put in a fuel pressure hose, a rubber hose in between it, what you have to do to get, if you want to get this whole thing out, is you have to continue to cut so you can lift this out. Alright, I cut a little bit further in. As you can see, this guy I got bent up. You can't go any further, as I learned, because there's a whole setup right here. I'll show you once I get under the car. But I've seen some people cut over this far just to give a little leverage when you get it out, so it, you know, pops out a little bit. This is what I ended up doing for a diagonal cut to get the whole piece actually out, because maneuvering it completely out doesn't work with the way that it curves. So I decided just to cut across here so it can come out way easier. The cut that I did do, you can see how this curves down. I just followed along this curve to about the bottom of it. Down there is where that little bump ends, but if you just look on the inside, avoid that. I also did take off a little bit more on the top. You definitely don't need to take out this piece. You can still do a diagonal all the way down there. I thought I'd be able to get it with just taking a little more from right there, but if you just take this diagonal piece all the way up to here, you should easily be able to get it out. Let's take a look under the car. To get this out, let me show you the top view while I'm up here. If you look inside, I've got the gas tank down a little bit, but there's a rubber little fitting, grommet, whatever you want to call it, that goes around that because the top of the gas tank kind of smushes it up against the metal right here. So let's go under the car. Here we go. Down under here. And there's all the lines and everything up there. So to actually get these lines out, let's get a better view. There's the lines, and they go up above the gas tank, up here, and then right here is where that rubber grommet is, and then it goes. That's pretty much clamping it in place right there. So you don't need to drop the gas tank completely, you just need to lower it a little bit so it unclamps it. It's not really difficult to do. You just need to take the strap here off, and the other one on the other side. There it is. Two on both sides. They're not super torqued on there. It's just a little awkward of a location to get to. But once you take those off, then you're going to take this bar off, not the bottom one, but the one that's up here. There's only 3 bolts that are right there, and it's going to be stiff, so you have to put a little bit of force into it to have it come down, because if you follow it all the way over there, it's able to rotate on a little pivot point. There's no need to loosen this up or take this out because it'll pivot regardless. So this whole thing right here, just take these 3 bolts out, and then by the time this comes out, if the gas tank doesn't drop, you just have to go above and push it down a little bit, and it'll maneuver itself so you can actually move the gas tank, like you can see like that. So just need it down a tiny bit so I can get these lines up through there and take it out. So we made a hole up here. So if we go underneath the car, you don't have to have it jacked up, but I did because it just makes life easier. So underneath the car, here's the right wheel, and we go up from the right wheel, or the left wheel, sorry, left wheel. And there you have the end of all of those fuel lines. They all end right there, but to disconnect them, I'll try to show you. You just need to disconnect them right here before they reach these hoses. This is also a good point of view where you can replace these hoses if they do need to be replaced. It's you can easily get to them here. I've seen someone else on YouTube that cut an access panel inside the car, which is unnecessary. That's just another hole in your car that you don't need. You can come down here and do everything from down here. Just undo that clip and the ones up there. So this is what I've done so far under here. For right now, I just disconnected this one and just pulls straight out. One of my clips is broken, so but eventually I'm gonna have to take this out because it's not gonna fit up through there. This is just gonna be a flathead little alligator thing that'll come off just like I did with this one up here, and I just moved it down the rail, so it's living down there somewhere. This one's got, once you take it out, fuel's gonna come out of here. That's why I have it on the tip right now, so it's not leaking. This one is just one of these clips where you squeeze it together and pull it out. There's nothing in that one. And that one right up here, the larger one is going to be 19 millimeter, whatever the conversion is, and the smaller one is a 16. And sorry that I don't know the conversions, I just have a lot of metric because I've always had imported cars. So you can always look up whatever the conversion is for that. But that's for the larger piece up there, and the smaller piece, just twist them in separate ways, and then this piece will come out. I've got it loose right now, so now that I have that, I just need to take this one off, and this whole thing should come out. To remove the lock ring on this 3rd gen, there's an inner ring and an outer ring. This outer ring is not going anywhere. It's this inner ring that you want to worry about. So the inner ring will have little tiny tabs. And try to zoom in on these. You've got little tabs like this one, and one like this one right here. But what you're going to do, if you don't have any special tools, is you can get some kind of chisel, or what I did was I used pliers. What I did is I grabbed onto one and I used my hammer to slowly knock it around in a circle. It's going to go counterclockwise, lefty-loosey, and then finally you're going to reach all the way to the end and it's going to pop out. Once that's popped out, then the only thing keeping this in place should be a rubber gasket. So just give it a little bit of a tug and it should come out the rest of the way. Given that this has been given enough room to actually lift out, which I haven't gotten in there and wiggled it around yet. So that's how you get into it, and hopefully get into my fuel pump here soon. Alright, I just pulled it out, set it here on the ground. Here's all my connectors. The lines look pretty good. They're not rusted at all. They're quite dirty, but everything looks good. So it looks like the only thing that I have to replace, this O-ring is terrible, so those are pretty cheap. I know I have to get a new motor and might as well get a new strainer while I'm at it. So that's the reason why I took this whole thing out instead of buying, because you can buy this whole unit for like $200, but I wanted to take it out to see if I actually needed the whole unit with the stainless lines and everything. So to save myself some money, now all I need is, now I know is all I need is that O-ring and those strainer and motor. So that's what I'm gonna do next, is pop that clip off and take it out, and yeah, have myself hopefully a running car. Here's what everything looks like when you take it off, and how to take it off is there's this piece on here. It moves around. You need to scoot this up along this line to free this portion right here, which is going to be in there. Once that's free, then you can go to the other side where the strainer is at. There's a little rubber piece that goes on here, and there's also a rubber piece that goes on here. This strainer is pretty much a cap that pops out. Now that the cap pops out right there, and it also has the rubber piece on here too. Now that that's popped out, then you can shimmy it up and out. Now you can replace your fuel pump. Alright, so as you can see, it's quite late, but I'm going to attempt to start it up, make sure everything's running fine. Make sure you prime it a few times, so turn your key to the on position a few times, and once you do that, it should be primed enough for you to actually start turning it over. Sorry about the lighting, but I don't have my garage right now, so I'm going to turn it over and see if this works. Yep. It's cold, but it starts. It's a lot smoother than it was before because of that fuel filter. But there it is, it's running. Damn fuel pumps.